In this video I'm making another really colorful nano aquascape for my beautiful half moon Betta. I'm going to show you everything from the initial setup until the fully grown in layout 2 months later. So at the moment we already have a Betta tank in this side of the room. But as you can see, it is not looking the best anymore. So last month I was away from home for a week, and while I was away the CO2 ran out, and no CO2 in a tank with a pretty strong light, you're just gonna get algae. I could of course refill the CO2, trim the plants, clean the tank and get everything into a good shape again, but I was already planning to rescape this tank. It's been up and running for more than half a year, so it's just time for something new. Now in order to rescape this tank I would of course have to catch the Betta, I would have to catch all the shrimp as well, then clean everything out, which is very time consuming, a little bit stressful for the inhabitants as well, because I would have to temporarily house them somewhere else, you know. So we're actually not going to do that. We are actually going to escape another tank, because I have another one which is basically the same footprint, it's actually a little bit bigger. So we're just going to escape that one, and then once we're done with that we can just move all the equipment over to this new scape, move the inhabitants over as well, and then I think that's easier, right? Yeah, so this tank is an ADA Mini M, and this one is a UNS 5T. So I said it has the same footprint, but it's actually a little bit higher. I'd say maybe 2 centimeters higher. So a UNS 5T is measuring 22 centimeters front to back, or 8.5 inch. The height is 28 centimeters, which is, I would say, pretty much 11 inches. And then from left to right, this is 36 centimeters or 14 inches. So it's definitely not a big tank. I would say it holds roughly 20 liters or like 5 US gallons. And I think for a Betta this is like I wouldn't go anything smaller than this, you know. So once we're done, we're gonna take the light from that tank, move it over to this aquarium, but we also need light right now to be able to escape, to be able to see something. So I think I'm just gonna take that light over there, place it on here temporarily, and then at least we can just escape the tank and see things properly. I just hope the cable is long enough, but yeah, this tank can be without light for a couple of hours. Shouldn't take too long anyway. Okay, here we go. Nice little empty canvas. Because it's such a small tank, I'm also going to keep the hardscape very simple. So this morning I was kind of going through my hardscape collection, and I think I found the perfect piece of wood. I mean, it did fit before, but here we go. I think that's kind of how I want it. Yeah, I think it looks good, right? I think this definitely has potential. We can go for my favorite triangular composition, you know, tall stem plants on the left side and have it all sloping down towards the right. Have some rocks around it as well. Maybe a cosmetic sand foreground, not sure yet. Let's just add in some rocks and see what we can come up with. Let's see, I have a little collection of small rocks over here. I think they're not all the same type. So I'm actually considering of gluing the piece of wood to the bottom glass panel, just secure it like that. Otherwise I would just have to glue it to the small rocks, but you know, the rocks are not very big, they're not very heavy either, so there might not be enough weight to keep this wood structure down. So I think I'm just going to glue it over there, because we have a nice contact point, and then it's just going to make life a lot easier. So I'm just going to take some nice chunks of cotton and wedge that underneath, just like so. See if we can get some more in there. That's pretty good already. And then I'm just going to saturate all that cotton with my cyanoacrylate liquid super glue. Be quite generous with it. So I'll just leave that to cure for a couple of minutes, and then I'll try to do another one from that side, and that should be enough. Those precision tips really come in helpful in a situation like this. Got these on Amazon, by the way, so I'll leave some links in the video description. It's just a little nozzle you can attach to any super glue bottle, and you can really get into these small corners, you know. Okay, all done gluing. Hopefully that's enough to keep this piece in place and stop it from floating. Fingers crossed. I actually forgot to mention the type of wood that I'm using. This is spider wood, also known as redmore wood. It's basically the most popular wood used in aquascaping. This piece has already been used before, and that's why it's a little bit of a light brown color. And this piece over here has never been used before. And as you can see, it's a little bit more of a yellow color. And what you need to know about spiderwood is if you use it for the first time, it will create a white, moldy, fungusy layer on top of the wood. It's completely harmless in a way. It's not really harmful for fish or shrimp or whatever, but it can sometimes melt some sensitive plants. But it's completely normal. It's kind of just a phase that you need to go through, and usually after about a month it will stop. Also, other sinkers love to eat it, so definitely get yourself a cleanup crew as well if you're using this type of wood. Just wanted to point that out. Yeah, let's move on with the hardscape. Let's see if we can get some of these rocks in here. And yeah, see if we can make a barrier so we can have some cosmetic sand in the foreground. Kind of want to try to add in these rocks without thinking too much, kind of just let them fall naturally. Okay, here we go. Rocks are in, and I think that looks quite alright. It doesn't look too placed, you know what I mean? Looks quite natural. So we do have some gaps, like in between the barrier. So we could get some Aquasoil migrating onto the foreground. But I think I'm going to take my chances. I'll probably also close some of these gaps with some moss or something. So I think we can get some Aquasoil in the background, and then we can start planting actually. So of course, as always, we are going to use the Aquasoil from Dental Plants. And this one is actually really good for this specific project because we're not going to be cycling this tank. We don't have time for that. Once we're done planting, we want to fill up with water and pretty much immediately add in the inhabitants. And the Aquasoil from Dental Plants, well, I've never really tested it, but I don't think this one releases ammonia. So it's pretty much safe to use, and we can add in the fish straight away. So I'm just going to carefully pour it in the background. I actually just got some new paintbrushes. Paintbrushes are like the perfect aquascaping tool. So I'm just going to get the small one and just use it to spread the Aquasoil a little bit. So of course right now we're getting a whole bunch of soil granules in the foreground, which we don't want. But I think I'm just going to take a vacuum cleaner and just remove them once I'm completely done with the hardscape. Here we go. Aquasoil smoothed out and all the granules from the foreground removed as well. It's starting to look pretty good. I'm not going to add in the sand. Got my favorite ADA La Plata sand. Love this stuff. So I'm just going to add a thin layer in the foreground, and then we're done. Here we go, all done with our hardscape. Nice and simple, you know, one piece of wood, a couple of rocks, some Aquasoil and some sand. And I think we have something that looks nice. Can't wait to see this planted. Quick little coffee break first before we start planting. And actually there's one issue, not really an issue, but I haven't ordered any plants for this tank. You know, normally when I set up a new tank, I always get my plants directly from Dental Plants because they're my channel sponsor, or I just buy some plants from a cheap Dutch website. But you know, because it's such a small tank, I thought I'm sure I can just find all the plants that I need for my other tanks. Also a couple of weeks ago I set up this little plant propagation tank, which is full of beautiful stems. We've got some really nice Ortella blood red, some Ludwigia super red over here. We have a really nice orange Ludwigia. So I'm sure we can take something from this aquarium. Also the vase behind this tank. I'm planning to take this vase down very soon because I need to make space for something much bigger. So yeah, I'm sure we can find some plants in there as well that we can use. Yeah, let's have a look at the vase. We already have some bush of landa that's floating around. I've got some really nice bush over here as well. On this side we have the Micranthemum umbrosus, which is a really nice small leaf stem plant. I do have a little bit of Blixa over here as well. We could definitely take the Blixa. I think we have some Trident Java fern here as well. So I might also steal that. And in this tank I actually also have some crypts floating on the surface. So I think we're good for plants. But at the moment the vase is actually full of duckweed, and I definitely do not want duckweed in this new scape. So I think I'm just going to try to remove all the duckweed with the skimmer, and then we can harvest plants from the vase. And this might take a little while, but I think it's going to be worth the effort. Okay guys, I think we have enough plants. We have some Trident Java fern, we have some bush of landa, we've got a little bit of Blixa, the crypts, some Rotala Blood Red and the Ludwigia Super Red, and Hydrocotyl Verticillata, and over here we have the Micranthemum umbrosum. One thing is missing is a little bit of moss, I think. Let's get these in first, and then we can see how it looks. Okay, so over here we got a perfect spot for the crypt. A little bit shaded. Yeah, I think it's a nice little corner. Then over here I have a nice little crevice between this rock and this piece of wood, so perfect for a bush of Landra. I have no idea which type of bush this is, but doesn't matter, it looks great. So we got 3 portions of bush, and we can actually close the line here with another portion of that crypt. There's a little gap over here. I think that's perfect for some Java fern. So I have a few portions. This is the largest one. Might have to secure with some glue, but I don't really want to do that. Maybe the smaller portions can actually go on top over here. So then the background is just going to be a mix of stem plants. So this is the Micranthemum umbrosum. I'm actually thinking of just mixing it all randomly. I normally like to keep my stems in groups, but maybe it's nice to just have everything together. So this is of course the Ludwigia Super Red. Just a really nice and easy red stem plant. Okay, so the background is basically just planted with all those different stems. We still have a little bit of an empty spot here in the mid-ground and there in the right corner as well. What do we still have left? This one, the Verticillata, one portion of the crypt, and we have all the Blixa. So I think this open spot on the front here is really good space for the Blixa. I really love Blixa, probably one of my favorite plants to be honest. It can get quite big, but then we can just take it out and make it smaller again. I'm still not really sure if you can trim the leaves of the Blixa, but I think it's going to hurt the plant, so you have to take it out and just make it smaller with the stems. Then the last portion of the crypt can kind of go here. It has a little bit more space to grow out. And then we can just fill the rest of the space with the Hydrocotyl Verticillata. Now this was probably spread runners throughout the entire aquarium, but it doesn't grow that fast, so it's easy to keep in check. It looks kind of cool, like little mushrooms popping up here and there. Okay, almost done planting. It's looking really good already. I'm just gonna give everything a quick spray because some things dry out really quickly, especially the Java ferns. I just wanted to add some moss. Now luckily I still had 2 tissue culture pots with moss left over. These tissue culture pots with moss, you can keep them for a very long time, I just keep them in the window, not in direct sunlight, but just with normal daylight, and then they stay good for a couple of months, so that's nice. So I have some Java moss. I'll get some proper close-ups. I have Java moss and I have weeping moss. So I'm thinking to add some weeping moss on the branches over here, and then I can hopefully start to weep downwards. That can look nice. And then the Java moss I can kind of place randomly in between the stongs over here. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of super glue in a few spots. Because the weeping moss doesn't actually attach very well to surfaces. So I definitely recommend either tying it or gluing it. And then just take small pieces of moss, lay it on top of the glue, just lightly press it down. You can use your fingers of course, but there's always a chance you're gonna get glue on your fingers. Okay, so that's the weeping moss all done. Now for the Java moss, I've actually glued some pieces to small rocks. I'm now going to add these rocks into our rock barrier, and then the moss will kind of just spread out naturally from there, Alright, all done planting. It's looking really good already. And I kind of like that we did it with leftovers, like all the plants from my other tanks. I don't usually do that. I'm now going to fill the tank up with water, and I'm thinking to leave it on this table overnight because it's quite late already, it's dinner time, and then tomorrow we can do the move to the corner and the swap at inhabitants. Right, it's the next day And I have a little confession to make, guys. As you can see, we have a rock on top of our piece of wood. That is because the piece of wood actually floated up to the surface. Can't believe this happened. I'm a little bit embarrassed, to be honest. Hasn't happened to me in a long time. Normally I'm quite diligent with, making sure everything's secure and nothing's gonna float up. But I guess that one connection point just wasn't enough. So about an hour after I filled up with water, the wood came loose and it floated up. Luckily it didn't make a huge mess and I kind of managed to fix it without destroying the entire layout. I think the piece of wood has shifted a little bit towards the back, so the background is now a little bit more narrow and there's not as much space for the stem plant, but I think it's still alright. Yeah, it even happens to me as well. Okay, so how are we going to do this? I think I'll just drain this one about halfway, just so it's light enough for me to carry. Of course, remove the CO2, remove it in an outflow. Then I can take the aquarium off the cabinet and then I can drain this one completely, move it over to the cabinet, fill it up again, and then we just connect all the equipment and add inhabitants. Okay, so I'll just shut off the filter. Okay, remove the CO2 diffuser, remove the lily pipes. Let's drain some water. There's quite a bit of hairy algae in this aquarium at the moment, but there's also still some plants in it that I would like to save. So hopefully I can do that. I think I'll just temporarily place this aquarium on the desk, make a little space. It's a bit dark at the moment because it's early in the morning and lights are not on yet. Okay, take the light off as well. And then let's see how heavy this is. Oh, it's not too bad. Here we go, on the desk, and now we can start draining this one. Okay, now we can move this one. Okay, tank is filling back up again, and now I just need to address the in and outflow, because previously I was using just a regular glass inflow and a spin pipe outflow, because that's really good for bettas, Only issue with this combo is that there's no surface skimming. So after a while you do get a bit of a scum on the surface, which just doesn't look very nice. Also don't know if it's bad for bettas because they do breathe from the air, I just want to have a nice clean water surface. So I'm thinking of upgrading to the Aquarium Neo Flow. I currently have one set up on this tank right here. You can see it's really nice transparent plastic. Looks really good. And then right now I don't have the skimmer on it, but if I want to, see, I can just have a nice little surface skimmer like that. Okay, this is too funny, I have to show this to you guys. So I was done filling up the aquarium, I turned on the filter and I kind of noticed that the flow was not very good. So I thought maybe I just need to clean the filter, Took the filter apart, cleaned it. Actually, it wasn't that dirty, so I thought maybe it's the tubing. Because tubing is for 9-12 millimeters, and for this filter I should actually have used 12-16 millimeters. So I thought, okay, let me just change the filter tubing, Now luckily I'd actually ordered some filter tubing the day before, so this is 10th of March, and well, actually 2 days ago. As you can see, today is 12th of March. So 2 days ago I ordered this filter tubing from Chihiro's, and look what I just got in the mail. This is from F-Zone. I don't mind that it's a different brand, but it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 separate pieces. Absolutely ridiculous. This one also has like a cut on there as well. So somebody just ordered this, cut up into the size that they needed. And it's like, okay, actually I don't need it, so let's just send it back. And then Amazon just sent it straight back to me as well. Absolutely ridiculous. Alright, tank is all done. Everything is installed as it should. We have the neon flow over here. Tank is looking good, nice and crystal clear. And in the cabinet, it's a little bit dark, but you can see we have the canister filter. And with the use of 2 double taps, I've managed to use those clear silicone hoses as well. So we're all good. I've actually left the tank running for a couple of hours because I filled up with RO water, and RO water is quite cold, so now it's been running for a couple of hours with the heater. So we're ready to add in the betta and the shrimp. I've just totally destroyed this tank, but all the inhabitants are here. We have one beautiful betta and a couple of shrimp. So after I changed the filter hose, the flow is now actually really good again, almost a bit too good. So I've already reduced it with that circular attachment on the outflow, but I kind of want to see how he's swimming and how he's behaving. I can always reduce it more if necessary. Yeah, I don't really like what I just saw over there, so I'm gonna add these clips as well. Here we go. So now with those clips on, the flow is reduced even more, and I think this should be better. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's currently hiding underneath that rock. The rock that I'm using to hold the wood down. So we'll give him some time to get comfortable here. Okay, 70 days have passed, almost 2 months, and this tank is doing really well. I'm really happy with it. I've done one trimming session where I trimmed the stems in the background, and I think it's almost ready for another trimming session. The stems are growing quite fast. And I really like how the foreground developed with the moss. It looks really good with the little patches of Java moss here and there, you know. As you can see, I did add some more gravel. I didn't really make a very good barrier between the Aquasoil and the sand foreground. So there was a little bit of Aquasoil constantly rolling onto the sand, which, you know, just doesn't look very nice. So I now added some of the Dua river gravel, something like that. And yeah, I quite like that actually. It looks really clean. So I'm happy with it. Betta seems happy as well, but actually for the first few days after I moved him in here, he wasn't doing very good. I was kind of a little bit worried that he might not make it. Not sure what the issue was, but he was constantly either hiding or just being very, like, just not moving at all and kind of just hanging on the water surface. But I think he just, you know, had to get adjusted to this new environment, I guess. And now he's just like his old self again, very active, constantly swimming around, interacting with the shrimp, and yeah, just doing good. So just a really nice and colorful Betta tank made from leftovers basically. One piece of wood, a couple of rocks, and then just plant trimmings. Really happy with the end result. Hope you guys enjoyed this one as well. As always, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.